Hello there. I'm making an addendum to a previous video. If you have not seen it, I would recommend watching that first and then coming back to this, because there is a lot that I need to address. Normally, I don't make videos like this, but considering the nature of some factors and also the fact that I just was not satisfied with the overall end product in general, I figured I would make a special exception in this case, mostly because when talking about this stuff, I want to treat it seriously, and I don't feel like I did, the subject matter justice. There are a few things that I'm going to address, most of which was pointed out in the comments of my previous video, and hopefully I can correct those mistakes that I made. I want to preface this by saying this video would probably have been made regardless of the support that I had received from that video. I will touch on that in a bit. I feel like it's a little hard to not when making this kind of video, but trust me, I'm not making this to milk it. I legit made some mistakes and I want to address them. But it is very convenient to be able to milk it. So with that being said, let's get started. First of all, why did the video come out the way that it did? Let me first preface by saying the video is not bad. I still stand by everything that I said in that video. It is a informative piece of media. All right? Nothing about it is wrong, just incomplete. And the reason it came out in such a way is because I have this self-imposed goal that I want to come out with a video every month. Even if it's just a quick little shit post. I want to be able to make content monthly, and I feel like I'm capable of doing that. The problem was that for 4 days straight near the end of the month, after I'd already procrastinated the first half, it left me unable to edit because I was very stupid and did not realize I put the HDMI cable into the port that isn't the graphics card. So I am actually fucking brain dead, and that's on me. But the point being is that I lost out on a lot of time, and I only had a day or two at best to finish all of the editing for that video. I did not have time to restart it. I was pressed for time. Is that an excuse? No, merely an explanation. Now, if I had the time, I probably just would have re-recorded the whole thing altogether, honestly. But the stuff I was able to catch, I tried my best to incorporate with text on screen, trying to correct the gender of the person that I thought was a guy, turned out it was a girl, as well as bringing up aspects of her being interested in machinery and stuff. I do try to address it where I can, but yeah, it really should have had more time in the oven. So that's on me, my bad. As far as the actual stuff I should actually address now, I mentioned in my pinned comment, how the fuck do I think of examples in Nintendo media of gay LGBTQ reps and stuff, and I don't think to bring up Vivian. Someone else pointed out Birdo too. I kind of forget that Birdo is also kind of had the Vivian treatment. It's for Birdo, it's definitely staying dated. They're never addressing that shit again. But at the very least, I do feel really fucking dumb not bringing specifically Vivian, especially because just had a remake of her game come out, and it's fresh on everyone's mind. How the fuck do I not think to do that during recording? It came to me right after, why the fuck did I not say that? What can you do? This is another thing someone pointed out in the comments. I want to get this video out quickly, so I'm not gonna screenshot every single thing that I see in the comments. Although here are some examples of things that I found very entertaining.
What the hell? Why is this in my recommended? Actually, now that I think about it, this makes more sense than I realized being in my recommend.
I have a headache and I am watching a grown man explain why a game character, which is an evolution over octopus, is autistic at 7:31 a.m. What the oomy am I doing?
Unrelated, but I really like your nose.
Not in a condescending or sarcastic way. I think it really fits your face.
But yeah, someone in the comments mentioned apparently Nintendo of Japan provide marriage certificates for queer employees. I'm going to try and look for evidence of this, because, like, it's just some person in my comments just saying that randomly. I'll look into it, I'll see if that's, like, a thing. Here it is, if it is. If that is true, that's pretty cool. I like that. Really, like, that should have been, like, more on the evidence side of, like, Nintendo is just, like, really pro that. And, speaking of the pin comment, I don't want to dwell on this for too long, so I'm going to make this as quick as I possibly can. All right? There was a situation in which there was a troll in the comments, and there was some engagement with some viewers, and, like, whatever. It then led to them making some statement about, like, if I remember correctly, it was like, gee, I wonder what it would feel like to walk into traffic or some bullshit like that. And, like, okay. The reason I'm talking about this now is I want to make this very, very clear for, like, anyone watching. If you want to troll in my comments, and, like, yes, it was so obviously a troll. I can tell. If you want to troll in my comments, fucking go for it. I don't give a shit. The moment you start, like, actually vaguely like, I don't care how clever you think your fucking words are. I'm not, like, I might be autistic, but I'm not fucking stupid. Okay? I know what you mean by that. I don't tolerate that shit. I removed the comment and just said, like, yo, like, to the troll in question, like, do not make threatening remarks or harassment or whatever. And then he responds, what'd I say? He doubled down, muted his ass. I don't want to talk about this, because this attention is exactly what they're fucking looking for, but I want to make it very clear, just publicly, right now, I don't care if you troll, do not make threats. I do not care how fucking vague you think you are, no threats. The most generous I will be to you is a single warning. Moving on from that, here's one of the, or at least probably one of the most common corrections I've received, both on my video and from my friends. Her last name is not pronounced Ida, it is pronounced Ida. In my defense, I had a 50-50 chance of pronouncing it the right way, and I just lost the coin flip. Whoops. Anyway. Okay. Then there was, like, people talking about the Suffer No Fools bars. Which, like, it's a thing that's, like, I don't really have to address it because I literally already addressed it in the video. However, it is something that I do need to address because for that section of the video, I really should have just had more examples of Marina just, like, not picking up on her surroundings. I use it as an example of, like, people thinking that's the case because that's just her character and everyone just immediately believes that because why the fuck would they not? That's just, like, totally in character for her. But the issue is that, yeah, no, it has been confirmed she was 100% genuine when she said that. So it did end up working as evidence as unintended? It's a weird situation for me. But, it just kind of worked out, and it led to me, like, being like, oh, then I don't really need, like, anything else to like use as an explicit example. I'll just throw some like text on screen, which I didn't realize until after rendering it was actually like kind of like, it's not illegible, but you have to squint and look at the screen real hard. So like, sorry about that. I'll see if I can find more examples of Marina like not picking up on the social like situation around her. Like here's like an example or two, I guess. Like the thing that I'm the most upset about with the video, and like don't misconstrued, I do not think what I did was wrong or bad, because it does still prove my ultimate point. It's just that there happens to be mountains of fucking evidence, even more than I even knew about, which I will address in a moment. But I spend like half the video proving that she's gay, and like I spend more time talking about that than I do about like the actual topic of her being autistic. And like, yeah, sure, again, that helps prove my point, but it's like I really should have just stayed focused. I really didn't need to go that hard with proving that she's gay. You know she's gay. I know she's gay. She's fucking gay. Like, yeah, I don't think that's a hard thing to buy. But yeah, I really should have just lightened up on it somewhat and just focused more on the autistic proof and the autistic side of the argument, specifically for the video. And like, I would say I would apologize for that, but I have the sneaking suspicion that a lot of you are very happy that I went into such in-depth analysis of her sexuality. Moving on. Right. This is probably the biggest misfire of the entire video. I do not know why during the recording, like, I just straight up forgot to like talk about the machinery, like her obsession over machinery. Like, I know a lot of people like pinpoint to like excavators specifically because of the like that one throwaway line in the side order escalator, but like I think the point of the excavators is to pinpoint it as an example of how much she can't, like, it's very clear she is obsessed with machinery, right? And I think it's kind of like a Pickle Rick situation where you just pick a random thing that just might be the funniest shit you've ever heard. Like they picked excavators because that's just a funny machine to like have such a long, like, in-depth conversation about. Like, that's funny. Like, I don't think I would, like, literally it could have been that. I don't think that it would have been able to hit as hard if it was like, I don't know, a electrical transformer. As opposed to a non-electrical, whatever, the one that isn't the fucking robots. Like she's obsessed with machinery to the point where she's like pulling all-nighters on making shifty stations, like to be ready for like the day after. Yeah, just so it could be like done in the morning. Like there is a lot of hyper fixation over machinery, to the point where someone even theorized that it could be a result of, I hope I'm pronouncing this right, objectum. They described it as attraction to inanimate objects, whether it be platonic, romantic, or sexual. Which, like, yeah, I'm aware it exists. I know that those literally fell in love with, like, a car and a Ferris wheel from, like, the TLC channel or whatever. So, like, I know that exists, right? Like, it's very much possible, and if that's the case, turning Pearl into a drone has a whole different meaning to it, but that's a little off topic for right now. It's an interesting theory, and it definitely holds water considering her obsession with technology. Technology! But yeah, just, like, it's possible. It's kind of beyond the scope of what I'm looking to accomplish, although I suppose, like, having one neurodivergency makes it very likely that you would probably have another. I think it increases likelihood. I could be completely fucking wrong about that, honestly. But, yeah, I am unfamiliar with it to the point where I can't really say on the matter, but it is an interesting theory. But yeah, like, the obsession with machines just in general should have been like such an obvious piece of evidence that just completely went over my head. I'm still kicking myself over it. I'm like, again, I tried bringing it up in text. I really should have just recorded another thing. I do not know why yeah, I'm sorry about that. Yeah, another thing people were pointing out is the she might have like a perfectionist mentality, which is like excuse me one second. There we go. Yeah, like a perfectionist mentality makes sense because like that's a very common thing with at least a lot of individuals I know who are, you know, autistic themselves. I tend to have that to an extent, although I do kind of like keep it in check, clearly. But yeah, a lot of us tend to want things to be as good as they possibly can be. Like, that's just kind of in our nature, because, like, you know, if you're not going all the way, then what's the point, you know? That's hyperfixation for you. And her being somewhat of a perfectionist makes sense. Like, she like, pays attention to, like, the finest fucking details, as far as I'm aware. Which is really funny to say, considering everything with the Memverse. Although, to be fair, it's not necessarily her fault. Also, it's, like, kind of subconscious. The story of Side Order is so... like, it's not vague, but it's vague. Does that make sense? It's so fucking weird. I don't know, man. It's probably the most abstract any of these single-player stories have gotten. Again, beyond the scope of this video. But, yeah, also just the Side Order dialogue in general provided a lot of evidence, specifically the elevator conversations, where it's just very clear, like, Marina is just constantly swooning over Pearl, and like to the point where like Oct is like kind of uncomfortable. Yeah, so it's very much a case of I should have just, like, I knew that was like could have led to more examples. I really should have just like looked into like some of that stuff, and like I tried to. I think the excavator line is definitely like a very obvious point to have brought up anyway, but I already talked about that. This is interesting. There was someone who was saying that like because her hair is constantly bouncing and moving, that it's like a form of stimming for her, which like because like none of the other Octarians like have their hair bounce or move around like she does, so like maybe she's like manually having them move around as a form of stimming, which could be interesting to think about. Like, I can't really state to the validity of that whether or not she just has like more than average bouncy hair, or if she's actually like manually controlling her hair to like, because like they are tentacles technically, so they're just like appendages and whatever. So like it's possible. I'm not gonna like rule that out. It does help with like thinking about this stuff at the very least. I found it interesting enough to warrant talking about. Apparently there's some dialogue in Splatoon 2 specifically that indicates she doesn't like certain textures or foods. I do not recall that. If that is a thing, here is the example. I will try to look into this if I can, but like yeah, if that's true, then that is also really strong evidence. If you didn't know, autistic individuals are very sensitive to a lot of stimuli in general, but sometimes that can take the form of texture, like how stuff feels, or specifically the texture of certain foods. And so that leads to a lot of people being very picky with foods. I was definitely very picky with food in my adolescence. So I can say that from experience. That is very true. So if that is the case, that definitely adds some validity as well. Okay, so this part is actually interesting to talk about. On the topic of being sensitive to certain stimuli, that also includes noises. Loud noises, high-pitched noises, for example, are very common irritables for a lot of people on the spectrum. And Marina happens to be wearing headphones all the time. So some indicate that it's like noise canceling or noise deafening. Basically, some deterrent to make noises around her more bearable. And while it is possible that it could perform a dual purpose such as that, it's one of those story elements that's not explicitly mentioned, because like they couldn't really explain away like the suction cups in your hair, right? Like there's like, oh, some like hair accessory or whatever. But like literally her ears are a different shape. Like it is a clear example of like if her ears were like visible to everyone, it'd be like, hey, wait a minute. It's kind of like the same thing as like if a fucking elf were to become real. Like if Link or Zelda were real, and they had like their pointy ass ears, and they were just walking around New York City, people would be like, they going to Comic-Con or something? You know, it's kind of like you can't really hide that, and you can't really explain it away as like some sort of fashion trend. So like, yeah, it's really just to disguise herself, to blend in into Inkling society before she like became more open about it. It was more for disguising, although again, like I said, it is very possible it could have been used for a dual purpose. So like if it was acting as noise canceling, sure. It was really just because she was a DJ, it acted as a good excuse for her to be able to hide her ears. To the point where, like, in Splatoon 2, her model doesn't even have ears underneath the headphones. However, she has been, even as far back then, depicted with her ears out. There was, like, when I was doing research for her video, I found there was some artwork of her with her ears out at, like, for a Splatfest. Like for some Splatfest art. And even nowadays, like with Grandfest, like just absolutely raw dogging it. So like, yeah. I think it's a case of like she doesn't really need them. It's just she uses them whenever she is in the position of acting as a DJ or she was hiding her identity. I think it's worth talking about that because like it is like a very interesting indicator, but it's just kind of like one of those coincidental things that's like it could be used as evidence, but it's very, very unlikely and flimsy. Although, like, if you choose to headcanon her in that way, like, I'm not gonna stop you. It does. Like, Grandfest does kind of put a wrench into things, though. Just as a heads up. Yeah, this video might come out like after Grandfest. I'm recording this like on the 9th, like before it starts, so like I don't even know what that's all about, but like hopefully it was cool. By the way, I'm team present, just saying. You know, what matters is what's happening now, because like who gives a shit about the past? In the future it can just it'll happen when it does. Who cares?
500.
There was also like a point where Pearl said, "I'm just joking, you know I love you." I'll try to see if I can find the context to that quote. Again, here it is. If you want it, it's. I'm annoyed because it's one of those cases where it's like, oh, is it like a platonic love? Like, you know, you love like a sister or a brother or whatever. But like, yeah, not like, it's very reciprocated, their love, I feel. Like, I don't think it's completely one-sided, as I've stated in the prior video. Yeah, so there's that. Yeah, there's also like the hug at the end of Octo Expansion. Like, that was like a very blatant, like, I feel like it was kind of like one of those pieces of evidence that I was aware of, but didn't really feel like to bring up because like what the fuck do I talk about this? Like it's easy to explain away as like, oh, like to save the city. She's like overwhelmed with emotion and whatever. Yeah, it was meant to be like more like exaggerative and comedic than I think like actually romantic. Although like, yeah, no, absolutely, like jumping on top of her like that and rubbing your face against her like that, like, okay, all right, I like, sure, buddy. So I guess that's more gay proof, I guess. Okay, this was actually the most interesting thing that people were talking about. I was completely unaware about this, by the way, so keep that in mind. Apparently there is a relationship chart from the Japanese website that explicitly calls her a maiden in love, or something like that. Like, when specifically in reference to Pearl. Again, I will try to see if I can find this evidence. If that is true, holy shit, I wish I knew about that. Like, I would never have thought to bring this up because I legit did not even know this existed. Thank you to everyone who pointed that out in the comments. That was very valuable information for me. Yeah, like that's kind of a big freaking deal. Like, yeah, it's the Japanese version, but it's like, it's the Japanese version. So like, that's nuts. One interesting thing is that I saw like a person or something thinking that like she could be ADHD, which like, I suppose it's possible for her to have one or the other, I suppose. The reason excuse me, the reason why I lean more into autism specifically is because like that's what I've like studied over the course of many years to like be more familiar with, and by many years I mean my whole fucking life technically, but specifically like that is just what I'm more familiar with. Like, I myself am also like ADHD, and let me tell you something, the combination is pure fucking hell. Imagine having the drive to be as productive as humanly possible, but the executive dysfunctioning to not actually go about doing it, literally any of it. Yeah, so it's a bit of hell, and that's also kind of why if she is autistic, I doubt she's also ADHD, because she is the last thing from executively dysfunctioning, unless you view her pulling those all-nighters for the shifty stations as an example. Like, she just procrastinates working on that until like the very last minute, gets it done for the morning, and gets like no fucking sleep. It does appear that she does have some issues with her sleep schedules, given that there's also that one image of her drooling on her pillow. I guess if she has like some scheduling issues and like struggles to keep up with that, I guess the best way to put it is like maybe Pearl keeps that in check. I don't know. So while like having ADHD is very possible, and I guess like given her introverted nature, it'd be more like, what's it called, inattentive? I know there's like 3 different types of ADHD. There's the hyperactive one, the internally hyperactive one, so it's not like physically hyperactive, it's like mentally hyperactive. And then there's like combined type, where it's just like both at once. Again, fun. So I would assume it would be more of like the internally hyperactive one, because like again, there's an example, I believe, in the elevator where she's like literally just talking to herself like really quickly, just like lost in thought about like some stuff. Like, she easily gets lost in the sauce. Like, her brain thinks at 1,000,000 miles per hour. So like, I do think there is some evidence for that. Do I believe that necessarily? Maybe. I don't know. Again, like, maybe Pearl keeps her in check and makes it so it's like not as prevalent. But from what I understand, like, I don't know. I feel like that's something that I would need a little more evidence to be convinced of, specifically. But I'm not against the idea. It does seem plausible. And finally, the last mistake that I will address for this video. I should have said Vimo instead of Woomy. She's an Octarian. Why the fuck did I not do that? Oh my god. It's just one of those things where it's like, it's just something one person brought up. And the moment that, like, I spend, like, a second to think about it, I go, that makes so much fucking sense. Why the So, here's me rectifying that.
Vimo.
And that's everything. That's pretty much everything that I wanted to address with that previous video. If there's anything else that I missed or got wrong or whatever, like, definitely, like, bring it up. I won't be making another follow. Like, this is the last time I'm probably going to be talking about Marina in this way until, like, maybe come January, where I have my next rant video, which is also when I'm just going to be talking about, like, that video and this one in general. So look forward to that, I guess, if you want to see me gush about numbers, because oh my god, I'm going to be gushing about numbers. And on that note, I want to spend the rest of this time saying a few things. First of all, thank you to everyone who very much acknowledged the severity of, like, talking about this and, like, trying to, like, acknowledge the potential and danger of, like, leaning into the savantism stereotype too much. Like, yes, like, if she is autistic, which she, in my opinion, very much is, it's not because of her intelligence, it's because of everything else around her. I really appreciate you guys taking that seriously. It feels like that it came off that way from what I'm seeing people say. Which is why I'm a lot more confident in being able to say, like, yeah, no, she's definitely autistic as hell. So, yeah, really appreciate that. Yeah, the stereotype is, like, so prevalent, and I really want to address it whenever I see it. So, yeah, thanks for that. There were a lot of manga appreciators as well, which I do want to thank you for being excited over me pulling out a book out of nowhere. Yeah, no, I knew that was gonna be a really fun moment just in general. Like, I haven't really, like, had a physical example for this, really, for my whole channel, as far as I'm aware, for, like, anything. So, like, being able to pull that out was really fun. I do actually have, like, a decent collection of them. It's not a full collection. I have volume 1 to 15. I have stopped at 15 because that is, in my opinion, the jump the shark moment, right? Like, I know there's a volume 16, and there, like, after that is a continuation series, and there's a comedy manga that I don't care to look into. But here's my thing. Volume 15 ends with such a satisfying, conclusive note, and has, like, such a bizarre, like, level of escalation where it's like, where the fuck do you go from there? You kind of write yourself into a corner once you get, like, I know it's filler. Like, I know it's obviously filler. But, like, come on, man. Rambles aside, I'm glad you all really like that. I appreciate you appreciating the manga. Speaking of appreciation, yeah, my camera's mirrored, so I meant to go this way. This guy. I saw some people really notice this guy and really liked him. I don't get plushies, okay? I don't get plushies, like, almost ever. I very rarely do. But I just fucking love Can Devil. He's, like, look at him! Look at him! He's so cute! Shout out to Cassette Beast. I didn't just make the Meredith video because I thought it was a good example. I legit am a huge fan of that game. Like, and yeah, I'm biased because like one of the main guys that made that game really liked my video on it, but like, you know what? I don't care, man. Like, game is good. Go play cassette beats. If you love Pokemon, go play cassette beats. If you love like the Final Fantasy battle mechanics, play cassette beats. If you like Persona, play. I only have experience with Pokemon. I'm gonna be real, but like, play cassette beats. Look at this fucking guy. Ah! There's really only one other thing I want to say, and that is thank you. Thank you very much. Again, I don't want to get into the details about it now because I'm going to save that for like a later video. But yeah, it's really hard for me to comprehend because you know, it just keeps happening to a point where like you're growing numb to it. Like, it was just getting like 1,000 views a day. Right? I had a video, one of my personal favorite videos ever, one of my most successful videos ever. That shit got 1,000 views over the course of a whole year. To put that in perspective, like, this blows my mind. Okay? I really don't have much else to say other than thanks. I know a lot of people think about Marina as being autistic, but I guess people were just waiting for someone to actually like put a voice to it, I suppose. I was not expecting. I don't think it would be realistic for anyone to expect something like this. But yeah, I really must thank all of you down bad lesbians for boosting the viewership of the the video and just the growth of my channel in general. Oh my god. I cannot express my gratitude any more than just thank you. Yeah. Expect more content fairly soon. I do plan on talking about more Splatoon characters going forward. I know that a lot of people were talking about Harmony and Sheldon and Mari and whatever. I do feel that there is things to talk about each of them, at the very least. To the point where, like, I might just make one big video about a bunch of different Splatoon characters. So look forward to that, I guess, if I ever get around to it. Probably not for a while. I like to space out my content with like the type of franchises that I work on, because I don't want to seem like I'm focusing on like one franchise for too long. Although you make a very compelling case for me to want to stick with Splatoon. But yeah, look forward to that. I do have some other characters in mind that I do want to make videos on, but have no experience with their franchise. And this would be like interesting because unlike any of my previous videos, these are actually canonically autistic characters. That being a character from Watch Dogs and another one from Overwatch. So that should be fun. Otherwise, I don't really have anything else in particular unless something strikes me later on. And if you made it this far, then I'm under the assumption that you're probably just as interested or passionate about this topic as much as I am. So if you can think of like any other character that I haven't mentioned or haven't already made a video on yet, then like straight up like recommend something in the comments, or even like I want to make a call to action, I guess. If you can think of a character that you headcanon as autistic and you feel like you have enough evidence to support yourself or back up your claim, then like straight up, my DMs are open on like Twitter, for example, right? I don't really go on Instagram anymore at all, like ever, so like not the best place to go for me. But like if you DM me on Twitter, and I feel like you have a compelling enough of a case and you're all right with being interviewed by me, much like I did in this video with my friend, it would be a very similar style, then like by all means, I am willing to like have you on, like I say in that video, I want to showcase as many voices as I can because I'm just one person. I have only my perspective, and I want to give the perspective of like as many neurodivergent people as possible. Like that is the goal, like, of this series, is like, yeah, bring awareness of neurodivergency and of like the autistic experience to people who may not be as familiar with, and to like find solace in us being represented even if we have to find it ourselves. Yeah, so by all means, like, feel free to hit me up. We'll like I'll interview you through Discord, so if you have a Discord, then like, yeah, that'll be the easiest way to go about doing it. I suppose to have this come full circle, bear with me because I'm about to be cringe for the sake of doing a bit that I said I didn't want to do because it was cringe. Consider this a thank you for all of your support.
Why was he waiting?
Yes. Thank you for 450 subs as of right now. It's kind of fucking ridiculous. I promise my next Akawa will not have as much issues and would require an addendum like this. I hope this is the last time I have to do something like this, but that should be all. Thank you very much for watching. Have a nice day. Goodbye. I do not know why the last video I said "and remember" instead of "until next time." I suffer from the influence of that, what I am exposed to. You're not immune to propaganda. Okay, goodbye.